while we're generating and we're talking about business and we're talking about other things, make sure you're stopping and you're spending time on the things that bring you joy. Spend the extra dollars on those joy experiences, because here's the thing, you can always make more. But those memories, well, it's not YOLO, don't be stupid. But like, these memories for those that you love are worth the price of admission. And that to me is the coolest thing you could ever experience.
Welcome to the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast, the ultimate destination for accredited investors and entrepreneurs seeking alternative wealth-building strategies. Discover how to fast-track your journey to wealth and time freedom by thinking outside the box. If you're ready to join the ranks of the Contrarian Capitalists and learn the most effective ways to reach your financial goals faster, you're in the right place. Let's get started with today's episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast.
Thank you once again for joining another episode of the Contrarian Capitalist Podcast. I'm your host and your favorite silverbag, Sylvania Harrod. And on today's episode, I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things that I find that's very important, which is, I'm going to refer to this as like core memories and why freedom is so important. Like, I look at this like the real ROI of freedom. So for those of you that are familiar with WWE, you'll realize I've been wearing a Cody shirt because I had the opportunity to take my daughter to what's called a PLE, or a premium live event. Just outside of New York City, they were hosting what was called the WWE had SummerSlam. And we got the opportunity to not just go for both nights, but we also had the opportunity to do meet and greets with some of her favorite wrestlers. And so the amazing thing that happened there is that, like, if we look at core memories, there's been data that's shown that a child has so many core memories that happens in their life. It's these moments that expand their way of thinking, where they begin to see things different than others are able to experience it. And we hold on to that. That's why we remember the time where it was raining and it was pouring down and you just stopped and decided to start dancing in the rain. It's these moments that, if you look at it, the spectrum of time you spend with your children is heavily weighted their first 18 years of life. And then as they leave the nest, they go out and they begin to have different adventures. And then they'll build their own families and build their own nest. And then you periodically get to pop in here and there. So having those moments of core memories is so much more valuable. And here's what I want to tell you is that, was I able to make core memories while I was gainfully employed? Yeah. But the things that happen is that you can drop everything and go do stuff when you've built a freedom wealth generation system for yourself, because you can set aside a certain amount of budget to go do those things, to create those memories, to go to those places, to say, don't just buy one shirt, buy 3 shirts, because those shirts you're going to sleep in, you're going to wear, the leathers are going to fade, they're going to go through things, but you remember those things in the moments when it's time of transition. Because I have personally sat on the bedside of somebody who knew they were willing to go. You know what we talked about? Those memories, those core memories that they remember at different times, and shared going through photo books and seeing and going through there, like, this is you when you were 2 years old. This is you at 4. This is you at 18. And we were able to reflect through those different moments and, like, oh my God. And you look at those pictures and you're like, I remember everything that was happening in that moment. And you're taken back in time through those places. And then you realize, like, what am I doing this all for? Right? Because at the end of the day, we spend most of our lives at work with our coworkers. And if there's no end game, what the hell are we doing? We're just kind of sitting there, floating through life, hoping and praying that, and looking, staring at other people that are living the lives that we believe we deserve, but we're not willing to take any action on it. That's why I'm so hell-bent on, like, figure out exactly what you want and then spend a lot of time around that, because you'll realize that environment is way more important than intellect. Like, I don't mean shit. We were kind of joking yesterday as we were going through this financial narrative, and he's like, this is the private school education. And I'm like, I'm going to give you the public school education. 1 + 1 = 2. You ain't got to give me all that fancy shit. Just base number. And as long as we can get to the same end result, your formulas and my formulas, yours may look prettier. Mine's just basic. we were kind of laughing about it. It's like, I know plenty of people that went to public school that are brilliant. I knew plenty of people that went to public school that are morons. Same with private school. And so you learn those things as you're going through. But even in those moments, as we're sitting there going back and forth, these are core memories. These are moments where we're sitting down, and I can remember having a mentor who just gave me information that it was like, I'll go look it up. And I go spend 2 weeks, and I come back and I'm like, yo, that actually is right. I didn't even know anything about it. And it becomes so much more fun. And so these moments that we spend, we have to evaluate and ask ourselves, why the hell are we doing it? Because those are the things that have meaning, and everybody has their different things that have different levels of meaning. I know some that are like, children aren't really my thing, but animals are my thing. So their ability to foster animals and take them on walks and take them on experience. And I would tell you about the coolest thing that I saw while me and my wife went away, because we've done this thing where every year for the last 3 years, we spend time as adults being able to adult without children. Because I don't know if you know this, if you don't have children, by the way, but any parent that has children will tell you that for most of the time, vacationing with children is just parenting in a different zip code, because they're the same thing. Now you're at a place where you have to go through and figure out different levels of chicken nuggies and the cost structure and that kind of shit. So that's kind of the basis there. But like, we went to the Caribbean, and it was another core memory that was unlocked, because this was the first time I was able to snorkel and had confidence in the water that I was going to be okay, because I had practiced it over different times and gotten little different levels of familiarity with the ocean. But my wife was like a kid in the candy store. She was just like, she got off the boat faster than anybody else. I don't even think we were anchored yet. And that girl was on the water, just out there seeing stuff and seeing sharks and all this other kind of fun stuff. But while we were on the beach, there's this program where you can go to the local shelter. People line up for it, and you can take a puppy and socialize them. And if you know anything about me, like kids, puppies, cars, that's my thing. Like to go through and like lose my mind over is like, that cars, ooh, I'm going to find that. Like if it's like things with my kids or puppies, definitely puppies. Animals are my thing. Like you go through and you're like, I can get a puppy. I can walk a puppy. I can have a puppy all day long. I can send their ass back because I don't want a puppy right now. I got plenty at the house. But it was such an amazing experience of socializing. And to have that opportunity where you can go do those things, where you can pay for the snorkeling trip and you can be out in nature, you can go to the local zoo. That's the real point. Money is like the current, like the ocean. It comes in, it goes out. And over the span of 12 months, as long as your number is growing, that's all that matters. But the experiences you have in life are the only thing that you take to the grave with you. And having a proper wealth generation system that is working for you while you're out experiencing these things is the actual end game, y'all. So that you can have the opportunity to drop the necessary cash to go on that vacation. Upgrade the room. Buy the whole menu. Because these are moments that people, like, you're going to remember. You're going to remember the time you're like, I just ordered 30 things on the menu because I want to try everything. I'm telling you, I didn't understand it when people first told me about those kind of experiences. And then I started socializing with those that did do it. And you realize, like, oh my God, like it's such an experience that you won't forget. And you realize, I don't like 90% of the menu. This is gross. Now I know exactly what I want. And there. But the moments I was able to share while I was kicking it and with friends and family members and going through is worth its weight in gold. So I share all that like, yeah, while we're generating and we're talking about business and we're talking about other things, make sure you're stopping and you're spending time on the things that bring you joy. Spend the extra dollars on those joy experiences, because here's the thing, you can always make more. But those memories, well, it's not YOLO, don't be stupid. But like these memories for those that you love are worth the price of admission. And that to me is the coolest thing you could ever experience. So figure out what those around you care about. Create those opportunities and really experience those moments like you can never believe. And I guarantee in your life, you'll realize what joy really feels like. So as always, my friends, stay hungry, stay humble, and stay grateful. and more importantly, be joyful. Cheers, everybody.